Welcome to Protect and Grow with Chicagoland certified financial planner Tim Stearns of TJ Stearns Incorporated. Trust, respect, and results. TJ Stearns Incorporated focuses on comprehensive financial planning and benefits.
And welcome into Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement with Chicagoland's certified financial planning professional, Tim Stearns, CFP, founder at TJ Stearns, your resource, ladies and gentlemen, for a common sense approach to planning on the complex financial investment and retirement issues that we all face day to day. Tim, always a pleasure. Welcome back. We always appreciate your time and insights.
Peter, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And today, Valentine's weekend edition of the program, Tim, we are going to be discussing really a very important aspect of our financial lives, the planning efforts that we put in. A lot of times is really for the comfort, the confidence, the protection of our family and loved ones. That's a big part of the efforts that we have, the hard work that we put in, the planning that we do is that care that we hope to provide.
Well, we want to do what's best for our families, but sometimes life gets in the way and we're not doing everything we should be doing. So I think this show is very prudent to be listening to, because you're going to be able to hear some things that, we've had people come in here without doing some estate planning and that type of thing that has not worked well for them. You see that like about 4 out of 10 Americans have done their estate planning. That's 6 out of 10 people haven't even given a glance, or if they have it, it's outdated, et cetera. So these are all things that we need to talk about. And the other thing is, I feel like a lot of people are shy or want to be secretive or, not discuss money with their kids. And I get that. But at certain points, if God forbid something happened to the husband and wife, the last thing you want your child to do is have to go dig for your assets, where they are, how they're titled, all that good stuff. So that's why this is a great show for people to listen to.
Yeah. But you're right. I think can be a sensitive topic, even though it is a very common goal for conscientious savers and investors and planners to leave a legacy or at least a positive impact on their family, their children, their loved ones, or in some cases, Tim, and you do a lot of planning with this as well, maybe a charitable organization or a church or certain causes. And there are ways to plan effectively to achieve that. But once again, that effective planning is based on proper information and education, and then identifying the right strategies to fit your situation, ladies and gentlemen, which is why it's so important that you get the information and education, of course, that we talk about here on the program, but also have specific discussions about where it applies to your goals, your unique situation. And if you would like to have that conversation with a certified financial planning professional, Tim Stearns, CFP, is here on the show, but also does make his time available for you on a complimentary, no cost, no obligation basis. If you have saved at least $500,000 for yourself for retirement or in your investments, then you can take advantage of the opportunity for a complimentary review and a retirement planning strategy session, or a detailed forensic financial analysis of your investments and alignment with your financial goals through the Protect and Grow planning process. All you need to do to take advantage and get that Protect and Grow plan in your hands is pick up the phone, get that conversation started with Tim Stearns, CFP, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. Tim, one of the reasons why I think this is such an important and, in fact, critical part of the planning discussions is that we tend to worry a lot about the what ifs, and it can either be kind of a daily thought in the back of our minds that sort of takes up other brain capacity, or we can dedicate the time to addressing it and then have a lot of that worry and concern really taken off of our shoulders.
Well, I think something's lost sometimes when we talk about an income allocation plan, right? We're talking about that. People are like, oh, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to do my assets? That type of thing. Well, part and parcel of that is also doing estate planning. So, we're blessed to have an estate planner on staff here that can help us get through all that. But those are the things that we're asking when we meet with people. Do you have that solidified? We had a gentleman come in who worked for the state for 27 years. He's an attorney, and he himself never married, no children, did not have a will, trust, or anything. It's the old analogy of the cobbler's son not having shoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think coming in to have a discussion, we uncover those areas that maybe we're not that comfortable to talk about. And also if the people are married, the spouses a lot of times haven't really talked about what the plan is. One of them, he pays the bills, she pays the bills, he takes care of this, I take care of that, but they're not on the same page. So doing estate planning, financial planning, what have you, these are all kind of the same things. And we uncover maybe some uncomfortable areas, but they need to be addressed. The last thing you want to do in Chicagoland is go through probate. It's usually about a 2-year process. No one is happy when they go through that. It's really tough. So why not get ahead of it when you need to get ahead of it?
I've heard probate described as a lawsuit that you place on your family on behalf of your creditors after you die. And I thought that was a bit dramatic, but in really digging into what the probate process is all about, it's pretty accurate portrayal of what that happens and how that works. What order of operations is that creditors get the opportunity, people who may have claims or say that you owe them money get the opportunity to line up before your family ultimately receives what you've left in your inheritance. And so again, these are important not only on an individual basis, but to coordinate the efforts, meaning not just the financial planning and the investments, ladies and gentlemen, not just the legal documents, not just the tax implications, but to coordinate those efforts. And that is one of the benefits there at TJ Stearns is they do have the ability to coordinate those through the tax perspective, through the legal perspective with those arrangements and partnerships and that they have under their roof there at TJ Stearns. And if you would like to have those conversations in detail, make sure to give them a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. And Tim, kind of starting with the last thing first, those legal documents, like you said, often get unaddressed or have not been done. And just to uncover a couple common mistakes that we have seen as well is that we often see kind of a misunderstanding of what needs to be included in the will or what directives a simple will have. There is a difference between a last will and testament and a living will or the medical directives. And we've seen funeral plans or life support decisions included in a will, which will not be read until sometimes weeks or months, or like you said, the probate process can sometimes stretch for years, well after those things need to have been addressed through other documents.
Right. And I'll use my family as an example. I remember being in college coming home, and my dad at Easter gave out his DNR, which was really an interesting thing to give out at Easter. But he did not want to be resuscitated, right? If God forbid he had passed. So, those are things that, my dad was very upfront about it. We knew what his wishes are. We know what my mom's wishes are. Of course, we know where her documents are. To your point, she has things set aside. She has her funeral plan. She has 6 months ago, she gave me a picture of herself. I said, "What is this?" And she said, "Well, this is for the Daily Herald, which is our newspaper." And I said, "For what?" And she said, "My obituary." And that seems callous and maybe cold, but my mom doesn't want to put that on my shoulders or the other 4 of us. So I get that. And I think that those are things that need to be talked about. And, these are the things that we do here. We talk about in my college classes for retirement, we talk about getting your team assembled, your CPA, your financial planner, and of course, your estate planner, right? Your attorney, and making sure that everyone's on the same page. We all know what my dad passed, but my mom's wishes are now. And it's good to know that, because we're going to be upset and that type of thing. I don't want to have to be digging through documents trying to figure out what her wishes are. So these are things that should be taken care of as soon as you can.
Again, concerns that may linger in the back of our mind and some difficult discussions in many cases. However, once addressed, can take that worry and concern of the what ifs in large part off of our shoulders, which is why we're talking about on this Valentine's weekend, the financial decisions and planning that we need to address in order to care for our loved ones. And if you want to make sure that you've got an appropriate plan in place to work toward achieving your financial, your estate, your legacy, your tax planning goals, pick up the phone and give a call to TJ Stearns and Tim Stearns, CFP, for that complimentary review and planning strategy session, the Protect and Grow proprietary plan that is only available there at TJ Stearns. 800-640-2256. That is 800-640-2256. The Protect and Grow plan does cover and address many aspects of your financial, your investment, your retirement life, the risks that you're taking, the fees that you're paying, the taxes that you may be liable for, a discussion of those estate planning goals. And we have seen similar reviews go upwards of $1,000 to several thousands of dollars for the type of written plan that Tim Stearns will help you put together, that Protect and Grow plan. But Tim does make it available to you. Tim Stearns, CFP, the help of a certified financial planning professional with no cost, no obligation. If you have saved at least $500,000 or more in your retirement or investment accounts, pick up the phone and give a call. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. Now, Tim, we know this is not the case in your family. In fact, you are the youngest of your siblings, and you are the one providing a lot of the financial guidance for your siblings and your parents. But in many cases, families are trying to provide support for children and even grandchildren. In fact, the 2021 statistics from the Census Bureau show that more than half of 58% of adults ages 18 to 24 still live in their parental home, and 17% of adults aged 25 through 34 still living at home. So parents and grandparents in some cases are straining their own financial progress in the attempts of helping children and grandchildren, when if we maybe really examine the planning that needs to be done, we can strike a more appropriate balance. And you've got some mistakes to avoid when helping children or grandchildren with money.
There's 5 common mistakes that we like to talk about in our office. Number one, never discussing money. I've always been very open with my 3 boys about what is going on, what we're doing. Maybe not down to the dollars and cents of it, but exactly why we don't do something that another family's doing, why I want them to have a job in the summertime when they're not playing sports. We want to make sure we keep up with the Joneses is the whole mantra around the Chicagoland area. But at the end of the day, keeping up with the Joneses might be something we don't want to do. It could be to our own detriment. The second thing is setting a less than great example. One thing I always tell my kids, we do use a credit card, but we pay it off all the time. We don't have credit card debt. I don't believe in it. I'm not going to give these credit card companies my good earned money. So we don't splurge on things that we shouldn't be buying. That's also another thing. Splurging too often or failing to set limits. We all want to spoil our kids and that type of thing, but you need to do it within reason and trigger it back. I see a lot of parents, grandparents trying to help out with these kids who want to go to these crazy schools that are outside the state of Illinois because they want to, they didn't get the experience that I want them to have, the experience that I didn't get to have, and they're going into debt. The kids going into debt. Now they're starting to see what those real interest rates are for loans like that. That's another reason. Lifestyle creep. It's basically people trying to, lease a car because they want to look like the other person down the block, not funding 401ks. We need to take care of our retirement. I always tell people, you can let your kids borrow money if you have to for college, but you can't borrow money for your retirement. Mm-hmm. Right. And the last one, not planning for their financial independence, when to say when. We always tell our kids the minute sports are over or whatever activities you're doing, you're getting a job. My parents made me do that. And I always say, I always say to my kids, I'm like, if you don't have a job, you don't understand what a dollar really is, right? Because it's just an endless pick it off the tree in the backyard type analogy. And that's not true. Money is hard earned, and we need to do that. And you need to teach your kids that.
Another one, big one, Tim, wedding expenses. I've seen some expensive weddings that were at the detriment of parents' retirement accounts. So specifically out there, if you're imagining this glorious storybook fairy tale wedding and you think your parents are footing the bill for that, just also be prepared for them to come and live with you a little later on if it's putting their retirement behind or to the detriment. So that is a balance. It's a conversation. And that's what we're talking about today. It's the dreams, the hopes, the desires for providing for our loved ones, but also doing so within those realistic limitations. Now, Tim, I know another big area that you hear discussed and you help people when it is appropriate, when the time and place and amounts are correct, is the desire to help a child or a grandchild in their saving, investment, and financial progress. And you talk with a lot of your clients about setting up custodial or educational accounts for their children or grandchildren.
Well, let's break that down. So custodial accounts are basically you're putting money in the minor's name under 18 years old. That when they turn 18, actually they can take money. They can take the money, right? Now the bad news there is that they can take the money. The good news is you don't necessarily have to tell them about it, right? Until you want to. The other way you can do it is trying to help out with college with 529s, which you put the money after tax in there. It grows tax deferred, and if you use it for college, it's tax free. So another thing that came up with the Secure Act 2.0, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago, is that you can actually, if there's money left over in a 529 account, the owner, i.e. the grandparent or parent, can put that money back into a Roth for themselves. So that's up to $35,000. Unfortunately, though, with the price of college nowadays, I think every dollar that goes towards college is going to be used. Mm-hmm. But these are things that we can do for our kids. That brings me to the next point, is that if you're a grandparent out there and you have a required minimum distribution, how about putting some money into a 529 after you take your money out and you paid your taxes? That's something that we see a lot of clients do. Or if you're in good health, I have clients who take out money out of their qualified accounts. They put it in life insurance to leave for their children. And that's leveraging money like you can't imagine. If you have money sitting on the sidelines in an account that you don't think you're going to need, that's a great thing to explore just to see what you can do. And a lot of them have a hybrid, where there's life insurance plus, long-term care attributes that are in there. So there's a lot of different ways to go out there to help your grandkids. And we're happy to discuss it with anyone.
Yeah, well, with those estate planning goals, Tim, you mentioned the Secure Act 2.0, the one that now allows the 529 to roll potentially into Roth. But I remember discussions back in 2020 after the passage of the original Secure Act, where you were talking about the fact that Congress has not only confirmed, but reconfirmed that retirement accounts, such as 401ks and IRAs and the like, are specifically for your retirement and are actually one of the worst generational wealth transferring tools, whereas life insurance is one that leverages and passes tax-free, one of the best generational wealth transferring tools. So, some strategies there to really leverage your estate and make it more advantageous for those generational goals that you may have, ladies and gentlemen. And if you'd like to talk those over and make sure that assets are positioned appropriately to best and most efficiently achieve your goals, those are certainly parts of the conversation with the Protect and Grow plan there at TJ Stearns Inc. with Tim Stearns, CFP. Pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, another aspect in those legacy goals, a lot of clients there at TJ Stearns Inc. may have, in addition to the property of their own home, the roof over their head, may have some real estate holdings as part of their portfolio and therefore legacy for their family. I know that real estate is kind of an area that has some specific advantages and complexities. Can you talk about where and how you help clients with the real estate aspects of their financial and their legacy and estate planning?
Well, I mean, basically, you want to make sure that you have everything titled correctly, that you have a plan what if in your demise, what happens to that money, with that real estate, and making sure that everyone's on the same page, I don't think my kids would want to own an apartment building, so we sold ours a couple of years back. It was kind of a pain to own it, to be honest. So these are things we've been through as a family. So I know how to help people, make sure everything's titled. Should it be in trust? Should it not be in trust? Are you using an entity that the people pay so that if, God forbid, a fire happens at the apartment building, that you're not on the hook as a family? Making sure that people can't pierce the veil, as they say, of the assets. So these are all things, again, our attorney here can help with people when they have issues like that, making sure that things get correctly done so that you don't lose all that hard-earned money and all that work that you put into real estate, fixing things and doing all that I had to do, making sure that you get it right.
Yeah. Not only a home or a vacation or investment property, rentals, but also business property, raw land, farm property, apartment buildings. Ladies and gentlemen, there can be a lot of additional financial and estate complexities if those apply to you, if that is part of your financial holdings. The benefit of having a team coordinating and working together, but also not just somebody who knows, but who has dealt with this themselves. Tim Stearns, CFP, not only helps his clients plan and prepare for things like this, but has dealt with this personally from his own situation. So can provide some really expert guidance on several of the aspects that you may need to consider, think through, and plan specifically for. And if you would like to discuss, pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. And Tim, I know there are several potential tax advantages with real estate, such as the stepped up cost basis or the availability of the 1031 exchange, both of which you can talk through, work through, and plan appropriately for with your clients. But lots of decisions on, do you sell? Do you designate a new owner? Do you set up trusts? Do you execute deed transfers? All of these things need to be worked through very carefully in our goals of planning for and protecting our loved ones if we're dealing with real estate property.
Right. And I've been through it. So, and if I haven't, my family has, a lot of my cousins own multiple properties. So we see, I've helped them get through different situations that they've had when someone passes. So having a CPA, having an attorney on staff makes it kind of a one-stop shopping if people are looking to get things correct. Because the last thing you want to do is have it be all hazy and after someone passes and trying to figure it out.
Well, again, we are talking about proper planning to provide as much protection and care and support for our loved ones on this edition of the program. And all of these considerations, so vitally important, ladies and gentlemen. And if anything that we've touched on today's program is a question or concern or a planning component of part of your picture, pick up the phone and give Tim Stearns, CFP, a call for that complimentary review, the discussion, the planning strategy session, and the written protect and grow plan. If you have at least $500,000 of investable assets, retirement accounts, real estate holdings, pick up the phone. Tim Stearns extends this offer, no cost, no obligation. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. Finally, Tim, we've talked about generational planning and a lot of the different aspects that goes into that. But even between married spouses, you touched on it where maybe one handles the finances. We don't want to leave the other in the dark, but there are certain implications with budgeting, with saving, with retirement accounts, with Social Security and pension decisions. that we really need to talk through very carefully and make sure that we've got a plan that both people are on the same page and understand how the intricacies of those things work.
I really enjoy when a couple comes in to do their planning with us, because now everyone's on the same page. There's no secrets. Not that it's meant to be a secret, but I'm just saying a lot of people don't understand what was going on the other side, because one of the couples is doing one thing and the other does the other thing. Make sure that when you're doing financial planning that you have both spouses, because the last thing you want is someone to come in here after the demise of one of the partners and sitting there going, I didn't know he was doing this or she was doing this. We need to do this better. Or, wow, I didn't realize we had that much money. Or I didn't realize we don't have that much money. A lot of people, there's bravado, right? You don't want to let on that you don't have the money that the spouse wants to do. So you need to make sure that everyone understands what's going on. By doing an income allocation plan, looking at estate planning, looking at your taxation, all these things kind of come out, and people, we can ascertain what the risk focus is, what their areas that are uncomfortable for them that we need to kind of discuss, so that both partners are on the same page and knowing what's what.
Yeah. And Tim, you've got this excellent resource list of items to address upon the passing of a family member or a loved one, all the way from the pre-planning, budgeting, spending, bills, bank accounts, documents, especially, of course, having those legal documents in place, to the mail, to the online accounts, the access for the passwords, Social Security, pensions, life insurance, running a credit check, all of these things included on that list and on that resource. If you'd like that, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's great for anyone to have, just in case and ahead of time, to think these things through, to have these discussions. Pick up the phone, give Tim Stearns a call, or if you would like that complimentary review, that planning strategy session, to make sure that you're making the most of all available opportunities, that you are addressing risks and issues, that you are providing the financial care for your loved ones that will provide support and confidence for them. On this program, we've addressed a lot of those efforts that we make to provide financial protection, but we've also barely scratched the surface. It's vital that we understand all of the issues for our family and loved ones' continued financial security. Those are absolutely conversations during that strategy session and the Protect and Grow planning process that you can have with Tim Stearns CFP. If you have at least $500,000 saved or invested in your retirement accounts or investment accounts, or as part of your financial picture, pick up the phone, give a call, request the opportunity for that complimentary review, planning strategy session, and the written Protect and Grow plan, a plan in writing to achieve and accomplish your financial goals. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. Tim, as always, a pleasure, and you always bring up important conversations for us to discuss and for us to consider in our own planning efforts.
Thanks, Peter, for having me. Happy Valentine's Day.
Absolutely. To you too, buddy.
Thanks.
Tune into Chicagoland certified financial planner Tim Stearns' full radio program and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of Chicagoland Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.